All right, so here we go. We're back. Yesterday I made two patterns. I think the first was this one for this race gun, and then I made this little concealment pattern for this P22. So basically I make these patterns like I showed, and then cut them out, transfer them onto the leather. This one's going to be black, and it's going to be lined with, I'm going to probably stain this not black but a different color just for some contrast. I like to double them up. I like about a 7-8 ounce thickness on the leather by the time I'm done. It gives them a nice stiff holster. So basically we cut that out, and then we glue with the barge cement to the leather we're using to line it with. And then what I'll do is I'll trim and then glue these two together, and once they sit overnight I'll figure out where I want to stitch them and put my belt loops in that, and that's where we'll get into the fun work. This is kind of the grunt work, getting it to this far. So here we go. Let's get this baby trimmed up. You want to be careful. You don't want to mess this up. Now at the end of the day when we're done, we're going to go through and sand all these edges, and we'll be trimming it again. But I like them as close as I can get them when I'm gluing them together. It's a whole lot less waste. It's just easier to work with the neater you can be first time around. It's about the only time you really come across scrap leather. You get it with some glue on it. I always start with a sharp blade too. I didn't show that, but I always start with a new blade on here. Just makes it so much easier to work with. Sometimes these little smaller guns, they're harder to make holsters for because of that reason. They're smaller. You still got the same size belt and typically belt loops on a typical man's pair of pants, or woman, whatever your flavor is. However you're supposed to say that nowadays. So this will be the front part of the holster. It will go something like this, and this will be flipping over the back. And we'll be stitching here and putting our belt loops there. So we'll trim the back one now. I first started learning how to make these watching Hellhound Leather on YouTube. And man, I was like, that guy's a genius, but he made it look so simple and easy. And let me just tell you what, there's been quite a learning curve to this. But yeah, that Hellhound Leather on YouTube, boy, that's a great channel if you want to learn how to make holsters. He sells patterns too for particular guns, like 1873 Cattleman style, government model 4. All right, so we got the concealment holster for this ready to be glued together. So when I get a chance, I'll get some glue on both sides of that. You can see where I rough up the leather. That'll be glued like so. Then we'll do a final trim. And then I'll knock holes in it for your belt loops, and then I'll stitch it, and then I'll wet it down, and we'll form it to that gun, and it'll be beautiful when I'm done. Pretty sure it'll be really nice. So this is the first time I've used the black leather with this as a liner, the veg tan, regular veg tan leather. But I've got to get my dye. I got to get the right color dye for this and dye this before I glue it together. So that's the plan for that. So on this one, the other day I did a how to make a pattern out of a Triple K field holster. So like I said, Triple K makes great stuff for the money. It's one piece of leather. Very simple, very robust. And so we did that, but we made it smaller. because this particular individual, he's got the same pistol, but he wants a field holster so he can throw it in a backpack or on his belt and go fishing or whatever. So we've already made that pattern, and we're just going to transfer it onto the leather and then cut it out, and then we'll work it from there. Always want to be sure when you're doing this. So this is the outside, the nice side of the leather. You don't want to lay it out like this and cut it because you get screwed. So you put it on this side. And then I always try to find the kind of the grain in the leather, which way it's going to bend the nicest, because we want that bend right here or even at the top. But this is going to be a narrower surface, so I like to bend here. That's the best we can get. And the other thing is too, when doing these, I always inspect the leather on the other side to make sure I got a nice clean spot with no marks in it. This one looks good as usual from Weaver Leather. All right, check it out. So we scrapped that other field holster that was in this color, because I forgot to ask the guy before I got started, did he want black or a brown or reddish type stain? So he said black, so we went to black. So we've done this in black. We got her blanked out here. I put the snap in. Okay. And what else I'm doing now is I'm making some buckles. I just take a strip of leather and put through here and I glue it just to get it to stay. It's easier for me to work with. Once that's done, those will go on the back side of here for a shoulder holster. And then I'm going to put a loop on here as well, and I'll show you another holster I have like this in a second. But I'm at this stage right now because when I put this on with these snaps, I don't want it marring the pistol at all. So we're going to line it with this lamb skin. But we're going to get, obviously, the snap on. We're going to get the loops on for the shoulder strap. And the belt loop will be sewed in. And then we'll put the liner on, and you won't see any seams, or it'll all be protected. So kind of here's what that's going to look like. So this is a field holster for my G48. And if I want, all I do is I pop these Chicago screws or this leather off. And then this just goes on my belt. And it's a piece of cake. Real nice field holster. Works pretty good. This is the first one I did. It's kind of a prototype. I like to prototype all this stuff. So with that said, I got that other holster wet, that concealment holster for this P22. And we're going to wrap this P22 in saran wrap. A couple reasons we do that. One, it protects the pistol. And two, it makes that pistol surface just a little bit larger when we're going in these holsters. So once it all dries, you take the pistol out, in and out, and it's a really nice fit. So let me get that holster and we'll film that next. Approach it. So always like to cover up the triggers. Got to go a little further with this one. I like just a little bit of open on the ends so debris doesn't hang up in there. In this particular pistol, I do not want the holster contacting. This is a Walther, so it's got that European slide release here, or not slide release, magazine release. I don't want that in the holster. So here we are. Looks like it's going to work pretty good. I'm going to rock this back a little bit. We want to keep this like so. We'll be putting a snap in here. Like this. Now I've got to go find, I got a piece of bone. I've tried a lot of different items to work and make this fit real nice. I found that bone is the best. So let me go find my bone piece and we'll rub that holster in. All right, so I couldn't find the piece I normally use, but thanks to my buddy Jay Bull, I got these sheds, so we'll try to work these with these sheds a little bit. I've used everything on these to try to get these to form, and I'm telling you right now, bone is about the only thing that really works nice. Wood, Delrin, all that other stuff leaves some really funny marks in this leather. So I can only attribute that to the natural tendencies of the leather and the bone, you know, nature, right? And so I'm pretty happy with that so far. I think we will, oh, we also want, I like to curve these just a little bit too while they're wet, because that's a concealment holster. So we'll put, there'll be belt loopholes in here and here. So you put a belt in from out here through here. And this will pick up the loop on your jeans, and then you go back out here. So it'll be nice and snug against your body. And then this is just, once it's all done, we'll go through and finish this. We'll sand this real nice and smooth. Then we'll stain it all black. And we'll edge dress it so it's nice and slick. So that's a nice concealment holster for Walther P22. All right, so here we go. We've got this holster glued up, this field holster. We got it glued up and marked. And we're gonna mark the lines for stitches here. And once it's stitched, I'll go ahead and trim that off. We'll hit that on the sander and we'll finish the edges. Then the only thing left to do is the shoulder holster straps. It'll say craft tool on this side. It says the 3mm on it. I always make sure when I'm working that I always know which side is facing which way. I typically take 3mm out, and it has to do with the angle on the chisel punches. And we have sanded this edge. And we're going to clean this up with this edge dresser. I don't know what you call it. I should look this stuff up and write it down before I start these videos. But basically, we're going to clean it up here. It's a number 2. And we're going to run this edge. Just kind of, it's edge beveler. Edge beveler, I think, is what they call these. I found that as I've gotten older, I'm going to be 55 this year. And in the last 3 or 4 years, I've really noticed I suffer for remembering stuff in nomenclature, what to call stuff when. And I think about that, and I remember my grandpa, he was in his mid-50s, and he would, bring me that doomaflitchet. Give me that doomahickey. What do you call that? Thingamajiggy. Yeah, doomaflitchet. It used to frustrate all of us, and now I'm watching it frustrate my kids because I can't remember what the hell I'm talking about half the time. And then once that's done, we'll slick it up real good with some beeswax, and then we'll use some edge dressing on it. And like if you were in the Marine Corps, you know, we used to have them old core frame shoes. We'd do those edges with that edge dressing, make them shine nice and black. So we may do that. All right, we'll let that dry for a little bit. Put this on pause for a minute. All right, so a couple projects going on here. We finished up this pancake holster for this P22. It's been sewed, it's been sanded, it's been stained. We're letting that dry, and then we'll work the edges. We got a snap on it. All right, YouTube, so check it out. So here's the field holster, shoulder rig, however you want to look at it. I didn't show how to do the straps. I've kind of been in a hurry trying to wrap these up this week. Got to get these delivered. Pistol. Again, all weapons cleared and checked prior to this video. Lambskin liner. And then the way I do these is think these are called Callaway buckles. So I put 2 on here. I just throw some lace in there for just to hold it as opposed to making loops. And typically I strap these down like this. I tie them nice and neat. But I just threw this on here because the guy it's going to, it takes some time to get that lace right. So I want to let him get this holster adjusted properly to his size before we lace the rest of it up. And then the way I do this side is I use a Chicago screw instead of rivets on both ends. You can take this strap off and carry this over your shoulder like this or like this without that other strap being in your way. You know, something simple. So I try to make these as versatile as possible. And again, of course, a belt loop on the back. So with that said, I didn't do a lot of filming on this one. Finishing up this, I know we started this with making the pattern on this holster. This is the concealment holster for this. Typically the way these go in here, well, my belt is too wide for this, but a typical belt will go through here. This is an 1 3/4 hole, and then you'll put it through here, and then your belt will run through your loop, and then it'll hold this nice and snug, like so. For concealment, these outside the waistband pancake holsters are my absolute favorite, like here, typically here. So, and that's for the P22 Walther. All right. Thanks for watching. I hope I've been able to edit this together and make one good, decent video. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it.